The House will now have before it Senate Bill 1069. Good gentleman from 31.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I ask unanimous consent that we cease with further reading of Senate Bill 1069.
Unanimous consent has been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, the gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good body before us is Senate Bill 1069. If you did any homework on this bill, you'll notice that in 2021, Idaho Code 33-1807 was created because we needed to improve early childhood literacy. That was a priority of the gentleman on the second floor. It should be our priority as well. It was targeted towards supplemental instruction for students K through 3. And what have we learned in the last 4 years? What we have learned is there are still gaps. We still have problems. We still have children who are not learning to read and comprehending what they read by grade level in grade 3. So Idaho has developed a transformative system of training the trainer, and it's called SMART. That's an acronym for Striving to Meet Achievement in Reading Together. So Senate Bill 1069 amends 33-1807 and keenly focuses on literacy from K through 3 and that successful program. The SMART program is currently being utilized in 60 classrooms across the state, and there's a waiting list of many teachers who want to get into this program and utilize it. So think for just a moment, there are 115 school districts in the state. I don't know honestly how many classrooms they are, but 60 classrooms aren't a lot of classrooms where this program's being made available, and there's a great need. I want to thank the Education Committee for a great hearing last Friday. It was one of the most positive hearings I think I've ever been in. There were so many testimonies, positive testimonies about this program and how it's being implemented in the state. One superintendent from Idaho Falls testified that she has 2 elementary schools in her district. One of those schools has a high percentage of English language learners. And after a couple of years in this program, her schools are 85% and in the mid-90s in proficiency in those two examples that she shared. This program is available, and with the amendments in 1069, will also train administrators. One of those who testified said that they had a teacher that had used the SMART program or was involved in the SMART program and was wanting to proceed and continue, but her principal was not supportive. This brings in administrators and trains them the same as the teachers so they can be supportive of the teachers as they implement this program. Good ladies and gentlemen, this, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important bills we'll hear this session. It is so vital that our kids learn to read and comprehend what they're reading. It's the key to success for their future. Mr. Speaker, I'd like permission to read 2 sentences from this past State of the State address as I conclude my remarks.
The gentleman would like to ask unanimous consent to read. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good gentleman may read.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This was spoken in these chambers in early January by our governor, a gentleman on the second floor. My Keeping Promises plan includes over $150 million for public schools. I look forward to working with the legislature to address gaps in rural school facilities, mental health, school safety, and literacy. The fiscal note on this bill, ladies and gentlemen, is 5 of that $150 million. I strongly urge your support on this very vital bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, good gentlemen. For debate on the motion, gentleman from 7.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate.
Gentleman has the floor.
I feel compelled to let this body know that there was very good debate in the Education Committee on this. There was lots of great testimony. This seems like a program that really will work. However, currently we are spending $72.8 million on literacy. And of that $72.8 million, 90% is going to pay. It's not going to literacy. And I have a feeling that this $5 million is not going to go towards literacy either. This is going to just be an ongoing appropriation of money that's not going to get to the student like it's supposed to. We need to start getting money to reach the students. And right now we keep spending and adding money for these programs, but they're not making it to the students. So before we start throwing more money at this, I feel as a body, we should really zero in on some of these budgets and make sure that the money is going to what we are actually allocating that fund for. With that, I'm asking for your no vote because they're already misusing the funds that they have.
Gentleman from 3.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been here for 15 years. I'm astounded at how much money we're giving education. It's grown from $1 billion to $3.5 billion. I don't even know how many billions, hundreds of millions. The test scores are not going up. The money's pouring in. The test scores are not going up. They're still not able to read. Is it money the answer? How can money be the answer? Billions of dollars and our kids are not reading. They can't do math. They can't give back change. I'm astounded at the level of education that our kids are going. And when I started here, I asked the question rhetorically, if we gave them another $1 billion, they wouldn't be happy. Well, we've given them $2 more billion, and it's not enough. Why can't these programs be done within the budget that they're given? Why is it that every program needs another 5, another 10, another $75 million? It just astounds me that all this money is not producing what we hope. I'm a no. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For debate on the motion, gentleman from 11.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
You know, when this program started, this literacy program started, it was a $9.1 million ask. $9.1 million ask. And in 7 years, it's grown to $72.8 million. Now they're asking for another 5. So in 7 years, we spent $57,737,100 million, and with no significant improvement in proficiency. I say vote no on this and let the teachers teach and quit bringing in coaches to teach the teachers to teach, and let's get education going again in Idaho.
For debate on the motion, lady from 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Lady has the floor.
I think this is one of the areas that DOGE would really be advantageous. I will be a no, though. Thank you.
Good lady from 6.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Lady has the floor.
So I'm hearing a lot of negative about our schools once again. And I will say that I spent a couple hours with the superintendents of all of District 6, even some in District 7, up in Moscow. And during that conversation, we talked a lot about literacy. We talked a lot about numbers. And then I went down to the superintendent in Lewiston, and I went into his office, and he has two big whiteboards with black tape that is his assistant made for him, and he has the numbers for the last several years of literacy. And I can tell you that what you're saying on the floor is not correct. And I don't know how many times you've all spent in your superintendent's offices, but I suggest you go if you haven't, because those scores have gone up substantially. He had scores from the last several years that like I said, that started with them in kindergarten, went to first grade, second grade, third grade, and they are reading, and they are reading. And we have heard negative after negative about public school, and I have about heard enough, because I think what we're doing is we are setting them up. We are telling the teachers that you're not doing a good job, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and that is simply not true. I sat, like I said, several hours with my superintendents and talked to them about what programs they're doing, how is it going, how is the literacy going, and without question, every one of them, our Moscow school districts, they are the top, like one of the top in the state Lewiston's have gone up. Are there room to grow? Always room to grow. But for you all to say that, or for many of you to sit there and say that they are doing a bad job is ingenuous, and it's not the right way. It's not a spirit. We have a public system, and if there's a problem, we need to fix it. But we don't just need to throw out the system with the bathwater. That is just, I've not heard anything this ridiculous in a long time on this floor. For you all to call them out like that,
Mr. Speaker,
I'm sorry, Mr.
Good gentleman, 13.
someone objected yesterday to me and they were right. And I'm going to object today because we keep saying you people, you people. I think we need to keep it highbrow, and wish I would have done that yesterday.
Yeah, good point. I think that we need to keep it to the debate, and you
Thank
people
you.
is kind of very condescending for a lot of people that have debated, so be careful.
Thank you.
Debate.
Not
Continue.
everybody has debated. So, what I've heard on this floor, Mr. Speaker, today is very concerning. If we want to fix what is broken, let's fix what's broken. But let's don't just degrade these people. And I know a lot of teachers in this state and in our district, District 6 and in District 7. I've lived in Lewiston for over 50 years, and I've worked with those teachers. I've spent time in the classrooms. And so I think that I would challenge each and every one of you to go to your schools, your public schools, and sit down and find out what they're doing, where they're doing good, where they see the deficits, because they see it. But for us to call them out and say that they're doing a poor job and we're just throwing money after money is not correct. And I question some of the amounts, because, but I don't have them in front of me, so I won't go there. But I would encourage us to please think about your own teachers that you had back in the day. Probably 95% of us were schooled by public school teachers. And they are there to do the very, very best by all of our children. And they take everybody that walks through that door. And I have great admiration for our teachers, and it really upsets me to hear this body diminish that.
For debate on the motion, gentleman 28.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. I don't know what could be more important in education than literacy. It's the future of your kids and grandkids and the future of the state of Idaho that they learn to read and comprehend what they're reading. Our teachers, reading has changed. Whether you're reading a book, you're reading on a computer, you're reading a mobile device, reading has changed. The comprehension of the language has changed. This is an effort, and it was enough of an effort by the gentleman on the second floor that he put it in his State of the State address when he came to this chamber in January. There's a recognition that we have a problem with reading, literacy in the state of Idaho, and we need to fix it. I'm going to close with a quote by author George R.R. Martin. "The man who reads lives 1,000 lives. The man who doesn't lives only one." Please, your green light.
Gentleman from 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to debate in favor of the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
I think we all strive to continually improve. When we heard this bill last Friday in ed, that's what struck me, is the interest in continuously improving. I've been involved in lots of train-the-trainer programs in the fire service, and I found that peer-to-peer inside your organization with a subject matter expert works tremendously well. When I do the notes on the margin of my paperwork here, it looks like we spend this program completely spends about $1,000 a student. That's for 4 years of specific, extra, more intense reading training. That's $250 a year. To me, that strikes me as being a pretty good investment in our kids and in their future. I'm a green light on this one. Thank you.
Further debate. Gentleman 28.
Good Speaker, to debate for the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, good Speaker. members of this body, what I have seen in the Education Committee and what I think is getting lost in this debate is that the state of Idaho had moved away from using phonics to teach kids to read. This STAR program uses phonics, and that is why they're asking for these coaches. The school districts that have introduced this STAR program, their test scores have gone up substantially. You heard the gentleman that brought the bill refer to Idaho Falls School District. Quite a jump, above 80% reading efficiency, where guys know what the Idaho is at. So I'm totally in favor of this. If it just takes a little bit of money to train the coaches to go back to learn how to teach phonics and teach the teachers how to do it, which is not as easy as you think. I have a deaf daughter, and phonics is all about how you place your mouth, where you place your tongue in your teeth and stuff like that. And it took her a while to catch on. But once she did, she was able to read lips, and it helps in more ways than just reading. So I would encourage your green light on this.
Further debate. Good lady from 16.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Good lady has the floor.
I think I am the only primary school teacher in this body. So I've been teaching for 22 years, and I teach the littles, and I teach them how to read. Because I've been teaching for so long, I remember back to my training when I was first learning how to teach kids how to read, and we had more of a whole language system, a 3-cueing system that tried to look at addressing reading and literacy and writing from multiple aspects. But the bottom line is learning to read is cracking a code, and it's phonics-based. We have gotten away from some of that direct, back to basics, attack the code, learn the parts of a word, and master reading early on. To the folks that have made comments about that previous literacy investments in this state have gone to salaries, that is true. It allowed districts to be able to hire full-time kindergarten teachers, additional first grade teachers, and we have seen our IRI, our Idaho Reading Indicator scores, climb. And most notable climb and increase has been in kindergarten and first grade, which is what we want to see when those basics are established. The bottom line is, if we don't have kids reading at the end of first grade, we are in trouble. This bill invests a small amount of money to be able to pilot with a couple of districts that back to basics, phonics approach, and getting teachers invested in that approach with fidelity across the school. We need further investment in using the right approaches with literacy. This isn't a shotgun spray at every school doing a tiny bit. This will be a direct, intentional intervention where we can show growth, get the money dedicated to children, and increase our literacy score, which does change the trajectory of an entire student's life. It's a worthy investment, and I encourage your green light.
Further debate on the motion. Gentleman 25.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the motion.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. Some of the things that I think get lost in this, we talk about reading scores and are scores going up, or are they going down? I don't know if you've ever been in a class and you've taken a test on the curve, and you wonder how come you're getting a C, and then next time you may have scored a 60 or 70 or 80. Next time you take the test, you get a higher score, but you get a D because everyone else in the class did better. Some of these nationally normed national tests, like the IRI, have been nationally normed. And one of the things that's happened in the last couple of years has been that our raw scores are actually going up. But then they did a norm test compared to a national thing, and they said, well, we're going to judge proficiency at a lower rate. So that's one of the reasons why when you look at the raw scores and they talk about proficiency, these things have gone down. This bill, though, one thing you need to understand is they're going to focus on the 25% lowest scoring schools, the lowest proficiency. So it's not every student is going to get this, but they're going to concentrate on the lower scores. And I wanted to explain something else that I learned in a national program that I went to, and they were talking about phonics and how kids can learn. And I kept thinking, well, why is this so much different than what it was? And teaching has gone to using tools like, well, look at the picture and see if that helps you find what the word is. And they told the story about a little boy that was struggling, and he's reading something, and there's a picture up above, shows a little boy picking something up and throwing it, and the boy reads the sentence, and he goes something along the lines, the little boy picked up the rock, and the teacher says, no, not rock, it's not a rock. And she says, look at the picture. She encouraged him to look at the picture. That's a teaching technique. And so he looks at it and goes, okay. He reads it again. The little boy threw the rock. She says, what's that? And it's just a rock. She goes, no, it's a stone. And that's because the boy was not learning phonetically to look at the word to understand it. And that's one of the important points of getting into phonics. I think this is an important bill, and we've made a lot of investments. There's no doubt we've made investments. I see the raw scores going up, but then when they did this national norming, it looked like we slipped back down. And I don't know how to describe that because I'm not a statistician, but the raw scores have been going up. And we're making progress, but we still have students that need to get to proficiency, and if we can concentrate on the lower 25% of the schools, I think it'll help. So thank you. I'm a green light.
For the debate on the motion, good lady from 2.
The gentleman from 25 yield to a question.
Gentleman yield. Gentleman yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good gentleman. You said something that I'm a little confused by. You said the scores have been going up, but I remember reading an article in Idaho Education News where they've dropped the proficiency, so it looks like the kids are doing better, but they're not doing any better. So can you clarify what you said? Because the scores have dropped. It's just the proficiency level has dropped to make it look better.
Gentleman 25.
Mr. Speaker and good lady from 2, my understanding is that the raw scores have been increasing, and then this past year, when they looked at the proficiency, they judged proficiency at a different level. So it's like, what it took to get an A, it was a higher score than it was previously. I don't know how to best describe it, but that's what was explained to me when I asked how come. Because I heard this thing that the national norming of the IRI test brought our proficiencies down, and yet our scores were actually going up. And so so they say the number of proficient students has gone down, but the actual scores have gone up. So that's the best way I can explain it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Further debate on the motion. Gentleman 26.
Mr. Speaker, to debate, please.
Gentleman has the floor.
After listening to the debate, I think a couple of things have slipped through the cracks here. In my view, this is a good conservative use of money. We're doubling down on a program that actually works. This is not blue sky. This program actually works. It's doubling down and spending our money in something that works. So from my view, this is a pretty conservative. There's nothing hypothetical about this at all. And it's being applied where the kids need it the most. I'm a green.
Further debate on the motion. Good lady from 9. Good lady from 9.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Phonics
Good lady would like to debate the bill.
I would like to debate the bill.
Good lady has the floor.
Phonics is vital if our kids are going to read. I was a 4-H leader for years, and half of my third graders could not do their record book because they had not been taught how to read at grade level. One little boy was not reading at all. This is appalling. I wish that JFAC would take all of the reading money and put it all into phonics so that our kids could actually learn how to read. This is a start, but it's a very, very small start. We need to completely change what is going on here. The teachers are being taught in the colleges the wrong way. They have been for years. The superintendent is trying to change that with this bill. But honestly, whoever's on JFAC, go back and take all of that literacy money and put it into phonics so our poor little kids have a chance. Can you imagine being our age and never learning how to read? It would be appalling, and we are failing our children by not teaching them phonics.
Further debate on the motion. Gentleman from 5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
I was extremely impressed with the results that one of the teachers showed us on the SMART program, and I agree that it has very good potential. My issue is with the $73 million that we've spent to date on literacy and have seen zero statistical improvement. And here's a program where we can get very significant improvement by spending 5% of the 72 million, the 5 million. We can see some outstanding development in our children's literacy. What I'd like to propose is that we don't take the $5 million and add it to, we just divert some of the $72 million into this program, just like a business would do. If they find a cheaper, faster, more efficient way of using equipment, they don't just keep the same old equipment and buy some new stuff. They dump the old stuff that's not producing properly and replace it with new equipment, and in this case, a new program. Also, 4 or 5 years ago in the Education Committee, we were told that there are a couple of coaching teams that went around to the different schools that had lower scoring students. So this is not a new program. It was bragged about how this team goes around and teaches teachers how to teach kids how to read. I don't know how you get out of a college that teaches or trains teachers without teaching the skill of teaching kids to read. At that point, it was asked in the committee, well, if these coaches teams have this extra knowledge, why don't we take that knowledge and instead of just concentrating it on 2 teams that go around and teach these teachers, why don't we incorporate that curriculum into the teachers' colleges? Here it is 4 or 5 years later. We could have trained all the teachers that have graduated if we had done that, and here we are having the same discussion 4 to 5 years later. We're sticking our finger in the dike, and we're not stopping the dam from collapsing. We need to just get busy, use that money that we already have, and divert it to an effective program to teach the kids how to read. Thank you.
Further debate on the motion. Gentleman 27.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I come to this debate with a lot of the same emotions that many of you have had. And when I was first presented with this idea, having learned a foreign language, I couldn't believe it. Phonics is the only way I learned German, and I can pronounce any word, anytime. And this idea of sight, words, or whole language has been completely foreign to me ever since I've learned about it. But the truth is that it's systemic, and it's not just limited to Idaho. This is something that's been going on for decades. One of the teachers I talked to entered college in 1989, the same year I did, and they were taught whole language. It's been going on for so long that we are literally further away from the basics than I ever dreamed we could have been. I was appalled how far away we've gotten from where we should be. But the truth is, that same teacher said her daughter is being taught phonics. But in the meantime, we have all these kids in the system, and we have teachers that need to learn how to do it right. We can talk about how we appropriate money in JFAC, that's their job. But this is a program that's working. And even though I think we could work on our proficiency in the coaching, the product is working and it's a sound product. And so those are the reasons why I'm supporting this bill. So I appreciate your concerns and your...
The debate on the motion. Hearing none. Would the gentleman from 31 care to close the debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for this discussion. Thank you for the debate. Thank you to those who have contributed to discussing this important issue. If you go to page 2, line 35 of the bill, you will see that it specifically spells out that this is a very targeted approach to the science of reading. Very targeted. I remember, and I'm sorry, I apologize for keep going back to mine and my wife's personal experiences. But when our kids were younger and in school, I have 2 aunts who were educators, and both of them were very strict about how they taught. And one was a renowned teacher and taught phonics very, very well. When our kids got past that 1st and 2nd grade level, we had another teacher in our community who we respected a great deal, and we were concerned about the introduction of this whole language curriculum. And so we went to their home and visited with this teacher and asked her what that meant. And she told us very emphatically, there will come a time when we will regret the day that we introduced this curriculum and we will go back to teaching phonics. I had no idea then that I'd be standing here today discussing that very issue and imploring each one of us to vote to get this back into our kids' education and back into their training. As I said before, this may be one of the most important bills that we'll consider this year. We can't change the past, good or bad. We can't. But we have control of the future. And this investment in our kids' lives, on our grandkids' lives, is very, very important. It's a small investment. There is data that shows emphatically that when a child learns to read and learns to comprehend what they're reading, their chances of success in life are much greater than those who can't. And I'll not dig into that, but I just would ask for your green light, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, good gentlemen. Debate is closed. Question is, shall Senate Bill 1069 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will cast their votes. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk will lock the machine and record the roll and report the pairs.
Matthias votes aye. Levitt votes nay. Green votes aye. Crane 12 votes nay.
40 ayes, 30 nay. The majority having voted in favor of Senate Bill 1069. Senate Bill 1069 has passed the House. Is there correction title?
No correction to title.
Hearing none, the title is approved. The bill will be transferred to the Senate.